Hey guys, so after reviewing this week's video, I have come up with a couple responses that I would implement into the group. Um, so the first is when Robert is introduced to the group. So it's in the very beginning, and we see Robert kind of minimalizing his behaviors and kind of just downplaying like the severity of it. The group leader does address this, and he kind of explains to Robert, like, hey, you're kind of minimalizing this, and explains what that is. And I like that he did that. I think I would open that up and push it a little further and have the group get involved with that. So I would open it up to the group and ask, like, has anyone else ever feel like they have minimized their behaviors before? So I would ask that question to the group because there is some members of the group who have been doing the work and been in sessions. It said like some people have been there for 19 sessions, right? And then Robert, this is his first. So there are some people who've been there for a while who might have more insight, who will be able to share their experience and kind of how they've dealt with minimalizing behaviors. And maybe just hearing it from a peer, Robert can kind of take it in a little bit more. It's kind of like that thing where when your parents tell you something, you kind of ignore it, but when your friend tells you, you're like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. So maybe just hearing it from a peer and a peer's experience could be beneficial for Robert to understand the minimalizing behavior. So the thing that I would add is when Grant is introduced later on in the video. So Grant also is downplaying his situation, and he's kind of explaining his story of how why he's a part of that group now. And he's kind of saying, I didn't really have there was no physical violence until, or except, excuse me, I broke the grip, like he went like this, like I broke the grip of my mom on my daughter. So there's a point when he's explaining the story when he said, I saw red, but I was able to repress those feelings of wanting to actually like hit her. And he went like this. And he said some other words about like sock her or something, but like insinuating that he would punch her. And he's saying, I repressed those. I saw red and I repressed it. So to dig a little deeper, I would ask, Grant, has there been a time when you saw red and you weren't able to repress those feelings and you acted on those violent feelings? Just to kind of get him to think about it and look kind of within of like, okay, yeah, like maybe I have done that before, or maybe he was able to repress it every time. I don't know the situation, but later on we do find out that he had a restraining order against him from his mom, and we find out that in that incident he did end up slapping her, so he didn't restrain himself when he did see red. So just getting him to kind of dig deeper into what happens when he sees red, how he represses it, if he's not able to repress it, what happens and what that looks like. Another thing that Grant says that I would touch more on is he was explaining about how kind of like society sees men and how it's difficult for him because there's this idea that like men should be masculine and tough and strong, but yet don't be violent or aggressive. And at the same time, be gentle and nurturing and kind. So he is kind of explaining how this balance is really hard for him to navigate. And so I would open that up to the room because I'm sure there are more people who can relate to that. So I would first just say, can anyone relate to that? Does anybody else feel this struggle or balance between, what society sees men being, and how to be that. So yeah, I would open that up, and I would also ask, like, how do you describe being a man? Like, what, in your opinion, not society's opinion, but like to you, what does that mean? Just to kind of get viewpoints, and the understanding of like society and stuff really does shape the way that we are. So I think that was a really good topic that the facilitator kind of just ignored and scooted away from. So I would definitely bring that topic to light. So, all right, thank you. Yeah, this is how I would respond in this video. So yeah, thanks.